Welcome everybody to my channel. Today's reading is going to be looking at what blessings are coming to you from the Lion's Gate portal, which is an astrological happening that occurs once a year where Earth aligns more with the star Sirius, and it seems to bring in transformation, blessings, and sometimes challenges that are really blessings in disguise as well. I have been doing a little bit of research around what astrologers are saying about this year's Lionsgate portal, which hits its peak on the 8th of August this year. And that research tends to suggest that it's really going to touch upon things to do with your third eye chakra, so your spiritual connection to the divine and also telepathically to others, and also your heart chakra, so all the things that you love and care about. So that's the kind of focus of today, but I wanted to do a little bit of an introduction because I'm going to be using a particular oracle that is new to my collection. It's an indie oracle called the Astro-Chakra Synergy System. And the reason I want to tell you about it is a system. In many senses, a lot of oracles are a set of cards that are collected around a theme, and so there might be a theme of career or a theme of love or whatever it might be. This particular oracle system, which was created by an Australian woman named Brenda Kelly, is a combination of two other divinatory systems, and it's a really fascinating system that she's brought together. As the name suggests, it's a combination of astrology and the chakra system. And so what Brenda has done is that she has looked at the planetary energies and how they would impact on the different chakras, and has created out of that a very profound system, which I certainly personally find goes very deep when you look at it. And I've talked a bit with Brenda about this. I've had the opportunity to do that, which has been delightful. And she, in fact, gave me the suggestion for the layout that I will use for this particular reading. And that is using astrology on another level, where I have a card from her system pre-intuitively chosen here under the whichever pile you actually choose. And that is going to be looking at the energies around what would be in your first house, fourth house, seventh house, and 10th house in your astrology chart, if you knew your natal chart. And the reason for that is that the first house looks at you and how you are seen by the world and how you present yourself to the world. The fourth house looks at who you are at your base level when you're at home, your connection with family, your connection with what you really care about and who you really are. The seventh house is about relationships of all types, and the 10th house is about who you are in the world in terms of vocation, cause, your career, your spiritual direction, and so forth. So those four key points in your chart are very important in terms of understanding your life path, and so seem to be an excellent foundation for looking at how this profound astrological scenario may be playing out for you this year in 2021. The other thing I wanted to note around this reading is that I'm also using, instead of crystals this time, I'm using chakra stones, I guess you might call them. They're made of resin, and they're done by an Australian artist who's also does this sort of work with runes, and at some point you will see runes in my reading as well too, because she creates incredibly beautiful runes as well. All the details for these particular stones, or whatever you want to call them, are in fact down in the description box, along with all the stuff about the decks, because if you like them you may want to check out her wonderful artistry. In this case, I have chosen the chakra colours very specifically. So for pile 1, I have the colour purple to connect to the third eye chakra. In pile 2, I have the colour green to connect with the heart chakra. So those are the two areas that are particularly triggered by this transit. And in pile 3, I have yellow to connect with the solar plexus, because that's all about our sense of power and the sense of who we are in the world and our confidence and so forth. Now, I should say that does not mean that we're going to focus in this reading on the third eye, this one on the heart and this one on the solar plexus. I don't know what are under these cards, and Spirit will determine what is the real connection and emphasis that is important for you for the Lionsgate portal. I just wanted to choose ones that I thought in and of themselves have some energy that aligns overall with the reading. So that may help you choose which one if you feel particularly connected to one of those chakra or to the colours associated, but it equally may not be the reason that you choose, and either is valid. You need to just tune in and work out which of 1, 2 or 3 is calling to you, and if more than one calls to you, by all means look at more than one, because there may be a combination of messages across more than one reading for you. As always, the timestamps for the readings are in the description box below, and you can go to that when you know. If you're not sure yet, pause the video and contemplate and meditate till you feel which you're drawn to, and when you know, I'll see you there. Welcome part 1 to your reading. So as I said in the introduction, these are the Astro-Chakra Synergy cards, and they show the chakras that are being activated and by what planetary energies in those various aspects of your life: 1st house, 4th, 7th and 10th. I'm also using the Animal Totems and I Ching deck to get a sense of an overall change energy that is around, because there's transformative and change energy around the Lionsgate portal. It's very interesting, this set of cards. For the first thing that I would say is that you are going to be extraordinarily aligned with this Lionsgate portal, because, as I said in the introduction, the two key energies that are really, and chakras that are being really impacted by this are the 7th chakra. Oh, sorry, actually, that's actually above that. So the 7th chakra is the crown chakra, but it's connected obviously to the spirituality that we see in the third eye. So there's a sort of a sense of a connection there. And then there is the 4th chakra, which is the heart. So this suggests that you are well in alignment and connecting, I think, to the divine around what is going to happen around the third eye, what is going to happen around your spirituality, because of this very, very strong sense around that being a focus for you. But that love, which is the 4th chakra, the other one that's being activated here, is your guiding force. And particularly when you look at the polarity between these two cards, because that's the 1st house, as I said, that's how you seem to the world, that's how you present yourself to the world. And then across from that, the individual in the chart is the connection with others, the relationship energy, and you have love here and Venus with it. So I'm just going to go through what I think this is saying and then tell you a bit about this energy, and then we're going to use some tarot to look at it more generally. So as I say, looking at this polarity first, how you are coming across to the world, how you present yourself to the world is in a very spiritual way, is very connected to the divine, very connected to your spirit guides, all that sort of thing. But you do it through the energy of love. You do it through caring about others and often being very selfless. Now, there is an issue potentially connected to this card, which I will get to around that, where it is important not to be too selfless. That is important to be finding that balance between these two, which is love that is transpersonal and caring for everybody, and love that is for yourself and also for those that you are closest to. So there is a question for you at the moment about where you are putting your love energy, and is it focused on the relationships closest to you and the ones that nourish you equally, or is it on some broader purpose? And part of the reason I say that is that up here in the 10th house, which is like your vocation, your career, that side of you, you also have spirituality, but there you're looking for freedom. So because you have Uranus as the energy around it. So this feels to me like part of what's happening for you in this particular Lionsgate is working out how you balance what is good for you in terms of love and good for others, and not being too caught by others' expectations of you in terms of selflessness, to have the freedom to really pursue what you want and to also make sure that there's harmony with your relationships. And then when you're looking at the other polarity, which is how you are in the world compared to who you are at home, and this is why this is a really good way of looking at the energies, I think. We have spirituality again, but this is about Saturn, discipline and spiritual growth. Now, it's interesting that that's in the 4th house. It does suggest to me that for some of pile 1, that you have learned a lot of your spiritual beliefs and your approaches from your family or from your home life. You very much would connect to others who had a similar spiritual belief, and you are very dedicated to it. Saturn is about discipline, as this card says. Saturn is about things that are slowly formed and slowly come into being, and they are about things where we know that there are sacrifices and challenges that we have to take on for whatever it is that Saturn's looking over. So in spiritual growth, you know that you need to make some sacrifices and make some decisions. But the key issue for you at the moment is whether you have that imbalance, or whether or not at the moment you are veering towards a selflessness, when in fact you should be looking at how to have the freedom with doing this. And what's interesting around it is that we have here with the animal totems an I Ching deck. So we have the I Ching hexagram, which is about details. It's called the taming power of the small. And the totem that's brought with it is the mouse. And what this is about focus, effort, and incremental change. So very much aligns here. You are very focused. You are very disciplined. You are the sort of person who would think twice before you did something. You're the sort of person who would not act out in any way that was disharmonious with others, or which was seeming to be very selfish. But there is a challenge for you at the moment around this, because the details card, the mouse card, this hexagram talks about potential for having to stand up to tyranny. Now remember that the I Ching is very much a system that is written for strategists and for leaders and for war and that sort of thing. So one always has to temper that. This is not saying that you're in war with someone, but I think in combination it does say that there may be some demands upon you that you feel beholden to do, but there is equally for you the wish to be free and to put your love and your energy where you want to put it. It could be for some of my Pawan that this is actually a struggle about who you would love and how you would love, and wanting to have harmony in there. It may even be a struggle within a love relationship where you want the harmony, but that seems to be demanding that you keep the peace all the time and that you're always selfless. So it will depend upon different people coming to this, what this energy is. For others, it's about a pattern that you've been taught. But the beautiful thing about the mouse is that it's such a powerful animal totem, because although it seems small, although it seems very selfless and not sort of a big tiger or a lion or something like that, the amount of power in what it can do when it puts its mind to it and it focuses is extraordinary. And even if it wants to destroy things, if you think about a mouse in your house and how quickly that could cause havoc, you know that it's wrong to underestimate. So it would be very wrong to underestimate you and your capacity for focus. This is what it's saying. I think that the opportunity of the Lionsgate portal, based on these cards, is to focus in on what is working for you from your Saturn discipline and where you need to free yourself. So Saturn and Uranus, how they're connecting to each other around what your spiritual beliefs are and your spiritual evolution, which is then going to have an impact on how you relate to others. So, as I say, that's pretty significant for this portal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle one deck here, which has a sort of purple colouring to it. So we're looking at a card for each of these that picks up the energy of the third eye. And then I will do another one that has green colouring on the actual card images itself for the love, for the fourth chakra, the heart chakra, so that we can see a little bit more information around each of these things and how they're playing out. Put that over on that side. And then the other deck has green on the bottom. Okay. So starting, and I'd go one by one and then we'll look at the interactions and the connections between them. So starting from how you appear to the world. So you appear to the world as being very much love-focused, very selfless, very caring. The energies around this and how this is manifesting is that you are very idealistic, and the world sees you as very idealistic. We have the Seven of Cups there. So that in itself is a bit of a neutral card. It can be incredibly good. It can suggest that with the right focus and the right choices about this, you can really achieve your dreams. You can find the connections, the love that you are looking for, and the spiritual development that you are looking for. But it can also be a card that's a bit Neptunian. It can be a little bit unclear. You can sometimes doubt yourself. And with the Ace of Wicks, which is effectively the Ace of Wands reversed, there is a sense here that Spirit is saying you are doubting yourself in this. And you might have a tendency to do that. You might have a tendency to feel, Pile 1, that if you ever make what you feel might be a selfish spiritual choice, which I think sits somewhere over here in the way you're viewing it. I'm not saying it is actually selfish, but if you made that choice, you feel as though somehow you're betraying your ideals. And I think Spirit is trying to say here that it's out of balance, that the love energy is out of balance because you need to love yourself as well. The Ace of Wicks, the Ace of Wands should be the other way around. And if you could balance your idealism with your sense of freedom and your sense of spirituality that is also nourishing you, then you could turn that energy around. But again, it's looking at the details. So if you want to really work out in this period of time, where am I putting my energy, and is it working for me, and is it really about spiritual growth, or is it about things that I've learnt over the years that maybe are no longer working for me, then it's in the details that you'll be able to work it out. Connecting with Mouse as that animal totem, connecting with that sense of looking at things in great detail and really questioning things rather than questioning yourself, because at the moment with the Ace of Wicks reversed, you question yourself and you always hold yourself to such a high standard that it's probably impossible for anybody to reach it, but it's also possible for people consciously or not consciously to exploit it. So I think there's a real opportunity for you to turn that energy around, to look at the details and make that decision. In terms of who you really are at your base level, as I say, you are very disciplined, you are very focused, and you're very spiritually conscious. You are meant to be more the Page of Wands rather than the Ace of Wands reversed. The Page of Wands is somebody who has gone a long way already. You've gone through the Ace to 10. You are meant to be feeling confident in yourself and being able to take that forward and to take the discipline that you have and make it yours, because we have the Teacher here, which is like the Hierophant. So I think this is saying that you have so much in your kit bag spiritually that you could in fact be a teacher and help others. And it may be suggesting that's what you're really here for, Pile 1. You're really here not to continually selfishly give without any sort of thought for yourself, but to take the details and the structure of this in a healthy, balanced way to help others and teach others. If you did more of that, rather than always just being at everybody's beck and call, then you would be using that spirituality and the discipline that you have in a way that made sense to you. But again, if you think about it, if you're like a teacher to others, and sorry, I just realized you're probably not seeing that clearly. If you're being a teacher to others, then you need to know the details. That's part of the thing. It's almost like developing the curriculum. So I think there is an opportunity here for anybody who is in spiritual practice to think about whether they could teach other people, whether they could support and mentor other people, building on all of that. And that may be a way where you build your own self-esteem and understand who you are more than just in constantly trying to live up to an ideal in everybody's minds. So I think there's definitely a sense there. I think that this is saying, think about all that you have and how you could help others with that in that way. Go to your vocation, which then will pick up energy that's up there. Over here around relationship, we have the Three of Wands. So there is, if you are not in a relationship, I think that you are going to be in one soon. There is a beginning of looking at someone who has a similar way and a very harmonious way of being with you, but you may not have been for a while because the Five of Pentacles is there. So you have had a sense that you were alone, or even if you were in a relationship, you felt like you were alone. possibly because you were putting all the effort in and the other person wasn't really reciprocating on some level. But with the Three of Wands there, I feel as though once you've got this imbalance, and it possibly might be from creating something where you help others in that almost educational way, that you're going to find someone who has a similar way of doing things. If you are in a relationship at the moment, then it could be saying that there is some lack of harmony in it because your partner feels alone. They feel like you should be spending more time with them rather than with the rest of the world and just being at everybody's beck and call. And I am getting that for some of you, this could be a relationship where you are always being called upon to support your family in some way. And maybe that's pulling you away from the relationship that you have. But again, this is about looking at the details, setting the parameters and setting the boundaries around it. Up in the 10th house, which is about your vocation, as I say, your career, those sorts of things, we have the Page of Petals, which is effectively the Page of Pentacles, but it's reversed. So it does look like there's an opportunity you have around a career that you haven't brought into being yet. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles here, which shows that vocation is very important to you. It is definitely saying that anything you do with your career, you will only feel settled in it if you feel as though it is aligned with your spirituality. But because this is Uranus, I think this is suggesting that some of you may leave a work situation that is not serving that because you want to be dedicated to what matters to you. But I also think the polarity here is working. I think for many of the people who've come here, it is saying that there is something in the spiritual space that you could make into a business or a career or a vocation. It's very much picking up the knowledge that you have and the wisdom that you have, but it's in allowing yourself to do that. That's where you free yourself and you can then be committed to doing that. And again, it comes back to the details. I feel over and over, particularly with the Ace of Wicks or Ace of Wands reversed here, that you underestimate yourself, pile one. You really do feel that you have to be there for everybody and that you're not necessarily developed enough to be a leader or to be a mentor, but you actually are. You actually are. And if you could put it maybe into your work, and that puts the right boundary around it, then you can actually spend more time around your relationships for things other than what you feel your spiritual mission is. So I think it's a very strong indication to you that change process is using that focus and that discipline to work out how to best manifest that spirituality in a way that is good for you and that also releases you to focus on the love that comes to you as well. So I think we have a fairly strong message for the Lionsgate portal. What I want to do as well for this is I have a oracle that uses colour, so again the sort of chakra sort of energy. I want to pull a card with that for each of these areas to just get a little bit more information from Spirit, and then we will close out looking at some other astrology energy around this period of time for you. Okay, so there's some interesting energy here for you, pile one. Again, you're very much connected, you're very much aligned to this. This reading is very much in tune with you because you are very spiritual. This indigo colour is between the third eye and the crown chakra in terms of the colouring, and it talks about discovery, intuition and perception. So it's bringing back again that kind of sense, that spirituality that you have. I think it is saying that you would be very psychic and people see you as psychic. Again, if you wanted to do something in this area, it's very much a strong indication that others would accept that because you are very clear-sighted. But sometimes when you have that sort of ability, people want you to be there for them all the time. And it's interesting over here with the sage, which is in the green or the heart chakra energy, so very much aligned with love there. We have alchemy, solutions and wisdom, and you think about it, sage is both a colour and it's also, we talk about someone being sage or being a sage, which is someone very wise. So I think that people, again, it's suggesting that people see you as the problem solver, they see you as the wise person, they see you as the person they can always go to, and that's wonderful, but you have to make sure that you find the way to do it so that you can also get the support that you need. And it's interesting that here we have colours in the range between the root chakra and the sacral chakra. So the foundations of who you are and what makes you feel alive and nourished and fertile and all of those sort of things. And down here where we're looking at the home base, we have beauty, comfort and serenity. So you do really, you crave that, you crave comfort and serenity. You really want to bring that in. That can sometimes be the selfless thing. It can be the person who says, I will do anything for peace, I will do anything for harmony. So there is another sort of question there about that, about what you're doing to get that. But I think it's also a promise that once you understand who you are, you can really be comfortable with who you are, and you can start to build something very fertile out of that. And then up here, in the way you are in the world, it sort of moves to a deeper colour, the coral, and there we have refresh, regeneration and renewal. So that freedom energy of Uranus with the 7th chakra is a rejuvenating energy. So if you were feeling like, well, if I do this, is that going to cause all sorts of disharmony in my life? Will people think I'm selfish? No, that's not the issue. If you go to the details and you work out how to use what you have in a way that helps others but with proper boundaries and that frees you up, then you can regenerate this energy and you can get it more in balance for yourself. So let's just finish up with some astrology cards. So I'm going to just shuffle a deck and pull out 3 cards just to see if there's any other astrological energy around this apart from the promise of the Lionsgate portal itself. Okay, so firstly, I think this is very much saying this is the axis that matters. And the reason that I say that is because we've got Venus, which was the planet that came up in both of those ones, as you can see. And we have the first house. So it is saying on that level that focusing on self-love and on love that also supports you and gives the right sense of you is very, very important. And you have a real opportunity to do that. And you can do it in a loving way. You're not going to cause havoc anywhere. You can just do it gently, bit by bit, just like the mouse energy. And deal with any pushback very gently, but very clearly and so forth. The tarot card around Venus is the Empress, so that's picking up this sense, again, of fertility and abundance around this for you once you do it. And the planet that's around the first house is Mars. So that is about taking the energy of the Ace of Wands and turning it around and using it, not feeling that that is aggressive or out of line with what you are spiritually. It is just a different way of doing it that gets it more in balance. And with the sextile, Spirit's saying this will be easier to do than you expect, because a sextile is an energy of easy flow and compatibility of ideas. I think it picks up the 3 of Wands or 3 of Wands over there. There will be people who really get what you do and really love what you do as you do this. And if there's been an issue with a significant other, this will help it. What I will do is I'm going to shuffle again, and then I'm going to just deal out cards until I get 2 planets, just to see what planets are in sextile for this energy for you. Okay, the first one we got instantly, which is Pluto. So that's very much the regeneration, the transformation energy. Sometimes it takes a while to get up. Pluto and Mercury. All right, so that is saying, well, I like that because I do think you're going to need to have some conversations with people to get this out and to make the change and rebalance things, and Mercury will help you with that. Mercury, the tarot card, is the magician. It shows again how well developed you are on the spiritual level, so have the confidence in that. And it uses the phrase, I think, and I think that goes really back to the mouse again. That's that kind of the structure, the details and so forth. Communicating that helps you make the major changes, the transformation that Pluto has involved. Now, interestingly, the tarot card that goes with Pluto is judgment. It may be that you need to judge certain people in some way in your life, Or some people may judge you as a result of this, but I think most will judge you very favourably, and those that don't, you need to move on from, because Pluto is about empowering you, and that's what's needed. You have the dreams, you have the idealism, but the self-confidence, understanding how much you can bring and communicating it. And it is by communicating, I think. Once you start to really speak your truth in this space, once you start to teach people in some way, then it all comes together for you. So you are very aligned to the energy of this because you're very spiritual, and you're also aligned to that heart energy, but it has got a bit out of whack. This is what this is saying. But you can with relative ease communicate what you need to communicate. You just have to have as much love for yourself as you do for other people. So, pile 1, I hope that resonates and it gives you some really good guidance from Spirit about how to make the most of this particular transit, the Lionsgate portal, and that it really does resonate for what's going on in your life at the moment, because I think you're quite special, and I think that what you would have to bring to the world is really wonderful, but you need to have as much confidence in it as I think you will evoke in others. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I'd love to hear about it in the comments if this does resonate for you. Beyond that, have a wonderful Lionsgate portal, and I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 2, to your reading. As I said in the introduction, these are the Astro-Chakra Synergy cards. So this is for the 1st house, the 4th house, the 7th house, and the 10th house. And I'm also using the Animal Totems and I Ching deck to have a look at what the nature of some of the change energy, the transformative energy of the Lionsgate portal is for you. I do think, looking at this for pile 2, that this is one of those circumstances where a challenge is the blessing. As I said in the introduction, sometimes even with asking around blessings for something, what we are shown by Spirit is something that we are being asked to take on, because it will be for our own growth and also for the betterment, our higher good and the higher good of others. You are a naturally very protective person. You are more than able to deal with conflict and confrontation when it is necessary, and for some reason it is necessary around you at the moment. The reason that I'm saying that is that the central energy here is the 6th hexagram, which is about conflict and it's about confrontation. This particular energy linked with the boar, which is the animal totem that is associated with this card in this system, is about protection, about being bold and about being dynamic. And it certainly says that you have that ability. Boars are often misunderstood. They are not sort of wild and untamed. They are very protective, very maternal or paternal, if that applies to you. There is a real sense of looking after others, looking after the tribe, and there's a real sense of that around this as well. And the reason that I say that is that, firstly, when we're looking at one polarity in an astrology chart, which is between how we are seen by others, our individuality in the world, and then how we relate to others, which is the 7th house, in both cases we have the moon. So there is a lot of emotion around this. You're highly empathic, and people see you as highly empathic. They also see you as someone who attracts or deals with emotions and deals also with mysteries and with uncovering things in some way. And I'm thinking they're both of the planetary energy of emotion with the moon, and also I'm thinking of the moon in the tarot pack, so that sense of mysteries and secrets and so forth. The way that you're seen by the world, you very much, I do see you as kind of empathic, as I say, maybe even psychic, with the 6th chakra, which is of course the 3rd eye chakra. So that's connecting. You maybe have a telepathic understanding of other people. You probably read the mood of a room incredibly well, the mood of a group, and people do see that. But they come to you for survival and for protection, for security, because here there is the connection, the understanding of others, how you're seen by others. But in relationship, there's a challenge, and I think they see you as a point of security. You may sometimes also see your relationships as a point of security, and it may be for you also in relationships that it triggers a lot of emotional reaction and a survival instinct if relationships are not working. So I think, and there's something about power. So this feels like in a community, in a workplace, in a family, there is a power struggle going on. I don't get the sense, we'll see what comes up with the tarot, but I don't get the sense it's necessarily a power struggle within a personal relationship. If it is, we'll get more energy around that with the tarot, we'll see. But I think for most, because you seem to be someone who really connects to others and understands the situation, and then brings to it a spiritual basis, a capacity to transform with Pluto down there and with it being called rising. I feel like that says rising power. I think there is something about this situation where you are coming into your power. You're coming into that. And the beauty is that here in your vocation, it is about love. It is about empowering others. You are rising in your own power by empowering others. You understand others really well. And so you are able to give a security and emotional security to others. But there's a conflict going on that is making this obvious. So that's what I mean when I say that sometimes a challenge is a blessing. This is meant to be a period of time in your life where you come into your power, which has to do with an incredible capacity to understand and support and empower others. And you do it with a great deal of love. That's why people feel comfortable. That's why they feel safe with you, with your strength, and they feel like that emotional connection gives them security. And that's sometimes a bit of a lonely situation, but it feels like for you, you know on some level this is what you were brought here to do. You know that this is part of your transformation. You're coming out of maybe a situation where you weren't able to affect a lot of change into one where you can. It could be that you're moving into a leadership position. It could be that you're ready to take on a fight. I wouldn't be surprised if many of Pile 2 are people who work in conflict, work in negotiation, all of that sort of thing. You're very, very strong, but you're also very emotionally in tune. So, for instance, if you were dealing with some sort of negotiation, you are strong enough to really get the outcome you need, but you'll read the room. So it's like the iron fist in a velvet glove sort of feeling. That's who you are. Though some may think you're a little bit unpredictable as well too, which I think is this Pluto energy down here. Like sometimes you know when to put on a bit of a show around this to get people paying attention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use two different decks which have been chosen because of colouring. So this colouring has purple, so that's to pick up the third eye. So I'm going to pick a card for each of these out of this shuffle and get a card for each of the houses around the spiritual side of things, and then I will use another deck that has green as its colouring on its image face for the heart chakra, just to get a little bit more information around what this opportunity to step into your own power is about. So and then I'm going to do the same with a deck that has green, as I said, its baseline colour, to pick up the love, the fourth chakra energy as well. Okay, so very interesting. This is definitely, I'm going to jump up here first because this is very striking. This is definitely picking up people who are moving into a position of power. And it's interesting because it's the deck that is around the heart with the green energy that has brought that up, which connects with Venus and love. So, and it's the Emperor. So you are definitely, whatever this is, whatever Lionsgate portal offers to you, whatever situation you are dealing with is about you coming into a position of personal power. And it will require you to deal with some conflict because the Six of Swords is reversed. I do think for many of you, you're negotiating something, because the Six of Swords, when you step into that energy, and particularly if it's reversed and you step in and say, okay, I'm happy, I've got the power and the energy to deal with that, it can bring you to the Seven of Swords, which, when it works well, is the great negotiator. And I think you are in a position of power around a negotiation, but you will always be guided by love, by the caring for others and so forth. This has a feeling like for someone who maybe is a union delegate, for instance, in an employee situation, or someone who's a community organiser where you're bringing a powerful sort of force and influence to something, but it's about love and it's about caring and it's about inclusion, for instance. So there's definitely something like that there. And it could be played on any stage. It could be between friends, it could be in a family, it could be, as I say, in a community or an organisation, but this is very much saying your preparedness to take on the conflict takes you to your power. Over here in the way that you're coming across to others, you do seem, it's interesting, you are, with the intuition and the moon there, people do think that you very empathically pick up stuff, but they don't see you as a group person. They see you, with the Four of Wands reversed, as someone who stands on their own 2 feet. This may be because you're moving into a leadership type role. It may just be that you're someone who could get overwhelmed by the amount of energy you get from others, so you always keep yourself a little bit separate, but they definitely see you as brave. It's interesting because we've got the sort of bull there and then we've got the boar there. Like you are known for your courage, pile 2. And something is happening to even bring this more. Maybe it's to let you know how much other people see you that way. Over here in terms of relationships, however, you don't necessarily, and this is always the other side of being someone that is this strong and into conflict and able to deal with conflict, is that sometimes I think you don't feel that you can settle in relationships or settle with people. You're kind of always around finding what isn't working and it's interesting, it's the Ace of Pentacles reversed because we've got survival there. So there's a very strong moon energy around security, and with the Ace of Pentacles being such an earthy thing, when it's reversed, there is something that you know is not quite being what it needs to be, not providing the foundation that it needs. And it does have to do with different opinions and different visions, because the Two of Wicks is the Two of Wands and it's reversed. So there's something in here where different opinions are causing the conflict, and that's having a base effect on people's survival. I mean, again, I feel like this is like in a workplace where it's a workplace conflict and it's whether people will have a job at the end of it. There's something where you're going to be required to step up and do something with it. At your base, you do want to find the people who have a similar view to you. And I think this is a promise that you will, either literally or through spiritual connections. This is part of the transformation promise. This is part of the Plutonian energy and your rising into power, is to find that. It looks like you haven't found it yet, pile 2. It looks like you've got to find, almost by taking on the battle, you find the people who will be with you to battle with you. And it's about injustice, with the Wheel of Fortune reversed. Like on a really fundamental level, you just think something is wrong in something and you are going to do something about it. If this doesn't resonate, you may not have picked the right pile, because it's very powerful. This is very clear. You are meant to be someone who takes on the battle and deals with the injustice in some way. And I think you are going to win. I don't think there's any doubt you're going to win. And in doing it, you will find more connections than maybe you're used to. I think you are used to being the lone wolf, but I think you will find that you have more connections than you thought once you find through standing up for this thing. And I think you've always probably stood up for things, but I think maybe there's just something about this one that really, really shows who you are and really takes you to another level, because I keep saying that rising power. That's what this is about. To move out of the empathy and the survival mode into the power dynamic, I think, is the key energy around this. So I want to use another oracle deck which has colour energy, goddess energy in it, just to get one for each of these as well too, to see what else Spirit wants to say about this particular challenge that you're dealing with and how you're going to rise to your power. Okay, so In how you appear to others, we have aquamarine, which picks up the colour spectrum of relationships and of the heart chakra, as does sage over there. So that very much shows that people think you come from your heart. That's the moon energy around it as well too. But this is all about change, tides and flows. So this is saying people see you as a change maker, as someone who can bring about the change and the flow that is needed, and that you do it coming from the heart. So I think people trust you, or certainly the people that you're going to support in this trust you. And over here, they see you as very wise. It's interesting because another reading had this card coming out here as well too. So I think there is a sense of the getting of wisdom and having that in relationships around this particular Lionsgate energy. So this is about alchemy, solutions and wisdom. So this is you bringing your wisdom and your heart to relationships. And I think that's why you can make people feel safe around what's happening. They really think they're in safe hands if you're looking after it. At your base, you very much go to the spirituality. You're very much in tune with your spirituality, because silver is connected to like the crown chakra, that sort of sense of illumination and, as this says, insight and reflection. You do understand what's going on here on a spiritual level, and also you're capable of reflecting on yourself and knowing when to act. And then up here, in how you're making your life, your vocation, your cause, we have sienna, which is kind of a connection around the root chakra. So again, the security sort of energy there. And this talks about plans, preparation, and I can't read that, training. So I think that this is saying that you are getting ready. You will get ready for this. And in fact, I think it's saying it's the beginning of something. I think that you will move into some sort of a role that also requires some extra skill development and training. You're in the beginning of a journey, not on the end of a journey, but it's one that you're naturally connected to. And it will be part of the securing your power, I think, that once you've won this particular battle, because I think you will then be learning from that and putting plans and so forth in to secure it, because you don't want it to become the Ace of Pentacles reversed still. You want that to be the Ace of Pentacles the right way up. So you want to make sure that foundation is strong and you understand the value of training and skill acquisition and planning and preparing for that. You really are a natural change agent and negotiator, I think, pile 2. So let's finish up with some other astrological energy, since this is based on an astrological transit. Let's see what other astrology energy is around you during the Lionsgate portal and what this offers you. Okay, so firstly there's fire. That doesn't surprise me at all. Fiery energy, action. You could be Aries, Leo or Sagittarius. Wouldn't be surprised at all actually with the amount of power and energy that's around this if you were, or if you have that strongly in your chart. You don't have to be, or you may not know your chart. But there's certainly that sense of a call to action around this. So something is going to happen. As I say, it's something that really takes that fire and passion and energy for you. And it's your capacity to be mutable, to be flexible, to find the way around this. It's going to help you rise into that energy. So the signs there are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius and Pisces. So again, you may be one of those or have that strongly, but it's a combination here of the passion and the drive of fire to do something with the mutable energy that allows you to be flexible and work out the outcome using your wisdom. And we have opposition. And again, that doesn't surprise me because you are in a battle. I'm going to now shuffle the cards again, and then I'm going to just keep dealing them out until I get 2 planets or asteroids to see what the opposition energy is during this period of time for you. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get to a planet. There's one, Venus. And Mars. Okay. So Venus and Mars opposite. It could suggest, as I said right at the beginning, there's a possibility that some of this may be actually in a relationship. I don't feel it overall. But if that did resonate, then it could suggest that the will to action of Mars and the will to love of Venus needs to be balanced and brought more into alignment. If that's the case, then you're in a situation where you have maybe sublimated your power to someone else, and what you need to bring that relationship more into balance is to get that in balance and to rise to your power in that way. But for most of the people coming here, as I say, I think this is a little bit more transpersonal. I think it's around a cause or an issue or an injustice or something like that. And with Venus and Mars in opposition, it really is looking at the love side of things and the action side of things, the fire side of things. And so Venus in a way is more mutable, it's love, it's flexible, and Mars is the fire energy. So that's the thing, balancing this to make sure that you always keep your heart involved in it, but that you keep moving forward and with confidence. The tarot card for Mars is the Tower. It again suggests something, this is important, this is meant to happen. You're meant to clear the air and bring something into a resolution and move forward. The tarot card for Venus is the Empress, which is about growth and fertility and abundance. So you can clear the energy with Mars to bring Venus out, but they are somehow tussling with each other. So there is a change process going on that is somehow tussling with growth. That's why I keep feeling like this is in an organization or a political situation or something like that. There is that energy going on, but it is saying that being mutable and being flexible, you will find the way to deal with that. So pile 2, I think you've got your work cut out for you, but I think you've got amazing power and ability, and I think that whatever this is, it's in the right hands. So I hope that this resonates for you, and I hope it was helpful. And if so, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And if you do know what this resonates to, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So as I said in the introduction, these represent the 1st, 4th, 7th and 10th house in your astrology chart. So how you appear to others, how you are at home or your base personality, how you relate to others, and your sort of career, vocation, achievements and so forth in the outer world. I'm also using the animal totems and I Ching deck to get a sense of the type of change or transformative energy that Lionsgate Portal is providing to you. And this is interesting because I think there's a couple of different scenarios I'm seeing here. The first one, well, both of them relate obviously to this card. So let me talk about that first. So the 56th hexagram in the I Ching is called the Wanderer. And it's a hexagram of sometimes feeling homeless or rootless or not really clear about where you belong in some way and if you belong somewhere and needing to be in a period of time where you are happy to shift and move around till you find that space, find where you want to be. And the animal totem that has been associated with it is the opossum. The hexagram talks about distraction and about that sort of drama that can be around when you're looking for the place that is right for you. And the opossum gives a connection to being able to be surprising, camouflaged. The opossum can play dead if necessary to make sure that any sort of threat around them is distracted and sent off elsewhere. But this card can also suggest that sometimes you need to communicate something. It's very much connected to the throat chakra, which is very interesting given that card there, which I'll get to in a minute. And it can be about needing to be dramatic and make a stand or say what you mean to say. So to me, when I look at this, I see communication as how people need to see you or do see you. And it's connected to the sun, so it's truly who you are. It's about truth. We've got creativity and inspiration and creative energy up there, which suggests that something about who you are in the world needs to be about your creativity and the inspiration that you bring to things. Over here around relationship, we have power dynamics. It's got to do with the solar plexus chakra, so where we feel power, and this is about discipline. Saturn is about discipline. It does suggest around relationships of some long standing or where matters of control or discipline are important in some way. And then we also have the 3rd chakra down in the 4th house, and this is about emotions and nurturing. So the two things that I see for this, one is around family dynamics in some way, or potentially a romantic relationship, but I feel a lot of this is maybe around family dynamics and where and how you feel at home and the way that you can bring discipline of yourself and of others, potentially into relationships, by being able to speak your truth and who you want to be, and using a creative flair to do it. So it has that, on that level, to me, has a feeling of a parent, dealing with sort of child rearing, nurturing and so forth, and thinking about the balance between creativity and expression and self-discipline and discipline for others, and how you nurture versus how you build sort of understanding and wisdom in those around you. So I do think for some of you there is an energy around parenting or nurturing in some way. Another way that it could be is being a teacher in a school or being a mentor in a workplace. But it's a balance between what you feel in your heart and your emotions and so forth, and what you want to do to nurture someone, but also giving a sense of how to balance that and make sure it's disciplined and it's wise and so forth. And this is saying there's a creative approach. If you go into your Neptunian inspiration, you can bring that in, and there's something very fertile around that as well too, which is, again, because of it's the second chakra, the sacral chakra. I feel like a parenting thing. And the communication, as I say, is being true to yourself and true to what you're trying to do. The other way of reading this is, in fact, literally around creativity. So it's possible that in that case, where the flair for the dramatic and getting that balance right is about something creative that you're trying to bring into being. And this is very much suggesting then to speak from your life path and your inner self and your truth, and bring your inspiration to it. You've been nurturing this creative project for a long time, but possibly this now is about working out what is the structure that you need around it. So Saturn then working as structure. So an example might be someone who's written a book, and they're now going through the process of getting it edited, for instance, or trying to put it out into the world. And you very much rely on your inspiration, but it's also about making sure that in that process of balancing what you love in it and what sort of structure it needs, that you keep your truth. So those are the two energies I'm strongly feeling around this. And there is a little bit of a need for the dramatic. So there's either people in your family or environment that you're trying to nurture, but also build wisdom in, and you maybe sometimes need to be dramatic in the way that you say things, or creative in the way that you say things, or you may have to stand up for that balance between the structural stuff that you're being told and what really matters to you in terms of creativity and nurturing of your work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a couple of tarot decks. The first one here has sort of purpley sort of colouring, so I've chosen it particularly to look at the energy, or get energy that's connected to the third eye. And then there's another deck I have that has green as its main colour on the card face, so that will be to pick up the heart chakra energy as well. So firstly, let's look at the third eye chakra. And then I'm going to shuffle this other deck that has green on the bottom. Okay. So firstly, these cards also suggest to me those two different ways of doing it. Like when we're looking at maybe the nurturing side of things in terms of either parental sort of influence or some form of teacher or supporter, we have the Empress twice. We have the Empress here in how you appear to the world, and the Empress also in relationships. So I do think that quite a few people who come to this reading may have some sort of parental type of role. It may not be literally being a parent. You could be a caregiver. You could be, as I say, a teacher. You could be a social welfare person. But there's something that is a bit parental about this energy. And interestingly enough, the way you're seen in the world is from the heart perspective of that. It's a very caring, nurturing person. And in the relationship, that's where you're kind of connected psychically and so forth. That comes from there. But how you're seen in the world in a way in terms of your heart is about having the energy and the dynamism to bring something about, and having that self-discipline really, because that's the page of Wicks, so that's like the page of Wands. You've developed a sense of self around this. You have on some level developed your way of viewing yourself to a high degree around your capacity to be nurturing or abundant or creative. And of course that's the other side of the Empress as well too, so it's very much picking that up. This is definitely saying with the communication and the truth that brings some peace of mind to you, because we have the Six of Swords. So when you have that energy, you can have peace of mind. So it does suggest a little bit of a flare up and a setting of boundaries will bring you abundance and will also bring you peace of mind. And you are more than capable of doing that. You're more than developed and you have the self-confidence to do it, which is fantastic. Sitting down here in where you feel at home and where the nurturing is, we have the Wheel of Fortune reversed. So you may have, this whole thing may have come from something not going well, or from some conflict within a relationship, or from having tried something creative before that didn't work. And so you're coming from a base of wondering whether this is going to work. But you have a lot of emotional energy in this with the Six of Jars or Six of Cups. And this again suggests that moon, that sort of connection. I do think if it's creative, it also has some basis in your past in some way, either in your family or your childhood, or in just your, very much this was a dream from very young in your age. And as I say, for some reason it didn't quite work out the way that you wanted to before, but I think that this energy is suggesting you have an opportunity now. It may even be for some of my pile 3 that in a creative project you did give up a little bit too much of what was true to you before, and it didn't work out. So you really know now that you have to stay true to that original vision, to not go too far away from that. And if you stay true to this is very promising up here, because in the creativity area where you've got Neptune coming through, we've got the Hierophant, which suggests that you have a really strong foundation for that. You have the skills and the ability to do what you need to do. And we have the Star, which shows the hope and all of the sort of energy around promise and so forth with this as well too. So the inspiration is very well founded. It also suggests that you have the capacity for something creative to take it to a traditional place, but this may be why it's important to be able to stand up for your original vision in some way, because that's part of your light on the hill. That's part of your North Star to follow. If this is about relationships and about nurturing, then it may be that some of you are teachers, that with the Hierophant there, it could be that this is picking up some sort of teaching challenge that you have, or that you need to take that role on in any case to process this. But you give a sense of inspiration and hope to people, and you unlock their creativity by unlocking your own. So whatever you do that's dramatic, I mean, this also has a feeling like a teacher who's teaching drama, for instance, and in doing that can bring about so many different ways of looking at things that does the kind of influence and the truth to people without them even realizing that's what's happening. So I do think there's both those things. There's a role in some way for some of you that is about nurturing, caregiving, teaching, and for others this is about staying true to a creative process that you've done. And in both cases it's very, very well aspected, which is great. So I want to use another oracle that uses colour, so then again chakra sort of energy, colour energy and goddess energy to look at the maximum strength that we can in this. Again, one for each of these areas of your life. Wow, okay. So again, the first card here and how you're saying we have things lilac, and that can be, that's sort of in the third eye chakra sort of colour thing, so it's connection. You can see a mother and a child there. So there's something around immaturity, innocence and youth. I don't think that's you. I don't think you come across as youthful or immature, but I think it is connecting to your nurturing role. And if this is something creative, there's something deeply nurturing in what you do, and something that maybe will be very connected to a younger audience, and to help people, so maybe, sometimes it might be a young adult type novel, or it could be a book that talks about early parenting and all of that sort of thing. There's something around that in how you're seen, but it's that nurturing energy again, and very connected psychically with the lilac energy. At your base we have peach, which is kind of in the sacral chakra, so that fertility. So again, I have a sense of nurturing, but it's also about having beauty and comfort and serenity in the home. So if there has been something that was difficult, this is a promise that you can actually rectify that. And if this is about being true to yourself or a creative thing, it's also a promise that you can bring about the change that you need, that you can have a different outcome in whatever space it is with other people creatively. We have magenta, which is again kind of picking up the colouring around a little bit of the sort of pinker tones of the heart energy, but also obviously the third eye sort of tones of purple. So that is connecting very much for this, and this is in the connections to others, which I think shows that the connections to others is so integral to this particular time for you. But being different, diverse and unusual. So there is something unusual about what you do, either what you're bringing to your teaching, parenting, nurturing, or whether it's about your creativity. If it's teaching and nurturing, it may be actually helping people feel comfortable with what's different about them, like really empowering people. And if it's creative, there's something different, and that's why it's important to hold to that. The beauty is up here, we also have, so you have a lot of energy around the third eye. So we have a similar sort of colouring there, and this is wisteria, and this talks about expansion, immortality and infinity. You are creating a legacy in one form or another, pile 3. It's whether it's a legacy in terms of nurturing and really harmonious and good relationships and teaching and so forth, or whether it is around your creativity. In either case, you are creating a legacy for this. I think that's why we have the Hierophant and the star as well. That sense of hope and optimism, and that sense of being really grounded in something that is well thought out and structured and has a sense of legacy about it as well too. So you're creating a legacy around your family, around your children if you're a teacher, around people that you're giving care to, or you're creating a legacy in creativity, or both. So there's a lot of potential for you in this. So I'm going to finish up with some cards from an astrology deck, and so that's going to be looking at what other astrological energy is around you as the Lionsgate portal is coming into its strongest alignment, or its peak, on the 8th of August. So let's see what else Spirit wants to tell you. Okay, so firstly, I think you're very aligned to the big transits that are going on and the timing around it all this year, because we have Saturn and Jupiter, both of which have had some fairly major retrograde, transformative energy patterns around at the moment. So I think that's picking up some of that. Aquarius, I think certainly that Jupiter's in Aquarius, and I think Saturn might also be, but I'm not an astrologer, so that may not be right. But I think there's certainly Aquarian energy around it. So I do think that you are very much aligning with very big ticket astrological energies at the moment. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that this is a beautiful analysis of the balance that this is talking about. Jupiter is expansive, it's growth, it's building things, it's abundance, it's tarot card as the Wheel of Fortune, so it suggests that you can definitely turn that Wheel of Fortune round and bring it into something that you want. And so that's all about what you expand and you explore and you create. And then you have Saturn, which picks up the sort of energy here around relationships, which is around the structure. And it's also around achievement. So it does suggest you will achieve what you need to achieve in this period of time. The tarot card for it is the World. And so that connects to a closing of a cycle so that something new can come in. So if it's a creative project, you're bringing it to its fruition. If it's nurturing, then you're really bringing through that kind of learning and so forth, and that kind of balance of discipline. So that's again showing that there. Aquarius is a very spiritual, ahead of its time type of sign. You may have Aquarius strongly in your chart. You may be in Aquarius. You don't have to be. The Aquarian energy in general is about connection. It always feels very electric to me, very new, very modern. So I think that's picking up the different and diverse and unusual over here. So whatever you're doing, whether it's the nurturing side of this or whether it's the creative side of it or some combination of both, you will be truly original. And that's why it's important for you to speak your truth as well. And those balancing things, the benefic and the structure, can work very well for you if you use this forward thinking thing and you back yourself on that. So pile 3, I think you've got a really interesting time coming up in either of those scenarios, and I think that you're well equipped to do what you need to do with it. And it may be that the two things are connected and that something in terms of nurturing and teaching others becomes something that you also create. But whatever it is, I think it's very well aspected. I hope that it resonates for you. And if so, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And if you do want to share what this means to you in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Other than that, I hope to see you in future readings.